Somewhere between 1989 and 2001, one man quietly stole almost every major prize from a McDonald's contest millions of Americans played. Not through hacking, not through violence, through a French fry box, a security badge, and 12 years of complete silence. This is the story of how a former police officer turned a fast food promotion into his own private million-dollar lottery, undetected. In the late 1980s, McDonald's launched a nationwide monopoly game, printed on cups and fry boxes, tempting millions to peel and win. The company hired an outside marketing firm to handle the game pieces, print them, secure them, and distribute them fairly across America. That firm placed one man in charge of security for the entire operation. His name was Jacobson. Everyone called him Jerry. Jacobson's job was simple on paper: guard the winning pieces so no one could tamper with America's favorite fast food giveaway. He traveled with sealed envelopes containing the rarest, highest value pieces, flying between printing plants under strict protocol and constant supervision. But somewhere along the way, Jacobson realized something unsettling. The entire system trusted one man completely, and that man was him. He began slipping into airport bathroom stalls, quietly breaking the tamper-proof seals, and pocketing the highest value winning pieces for himself. At first, he gave them to family. A relative here, a friend there, small, quiet wins that raised no questions at all. But the prizes kept getting bigger. And once you've stolen $1 million, giving it to strangers becomes strangely easier than you'd think. Jacobson built a network of people willing to pose as legitimate winners, splitting the prize money in exchange for staying silent. His recruits were an unlikely mix: psychics, strip club owners, retired convicts, and even a family connected to a Mormon community. One contact introduced him to organized crime connections in Florida, who agreed to distribute winning pieces through their own underground network. For over a decade, nearly every major prize, cash, cars, even $1 million grand prize, secretly passed through Jacobson's hands. Real customers kept buying fries, kept peeling stickers, kept dreaming about winning, never knowing the biggest prizes were already promised away. Jacobson himself earned roughly $1 million from the scheme, using the money to buy homes, property, and a comfortable new life. For 12 years, nobody at McDonald's noticed. No internal audit caught it. No executive asked the obvious question: who guards the guard? Then, in 2000, an anonymous call reached the FBI. A tip about someone known only by one strange nickname: Uncle Jerry. The caller claimed McDonald's biggest prizes weren't random at all. They were being rigged by an insider inside the company's own security. FBI agent Doug Dent picked up the case, expecting a small-time tip. What he found instead was staggering in scale and complexity. Dent began pulling contest records, comparing addresses of past winners, searching for any pattern hiding inside years of paperwork and prize claims. What he found was strange. Dozens of random winners across the country all lived suspiciously close to one small town in Georgia. That town happened to be where Jerome Jacobson owned a lake house. The pattern was too consistent to be a coincidence. But suspicion wasn't proof. Agents needed hard evidence connecting Jacobson directly to the fraudulent winners, without tipping off the entire network. So the FBI came up with an unusual plan. They would fake an entire television commercial to catch the fraud on camera. Investigators posed as producers filming a fake McDonald's prize winner segment, inviting past winners to appear and casually discuss how they'd won. On camera, one after another, the supposed winners nervously fumbled their stories, unable to explain how they'd actually gotten their tickets. The footage became devastating evidence. These weren't lucky customers. They were recruited participants in a scheme none of them fully understood. By August 2001, the FBI had enough. Jacobson and 7 accomplices were formally charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud nationwide. Investigators estimated the total fraud at over $24 million in stolen cash and prizes, spread across more than a decade. McDonald's, blindsided by the scale of the fraud happening under their own promotion, was forced to publicly confront its own security failure. The company immediately severed its contract with the marketing firm responsible, worth roughly $500 million, and launched damage control. To rebuild trust, McDonald's announced an emergency $10 million giveaway, an apology to millions of customers who'd unknowingly played a rigged game. In court, Jacobson admitted what he'd done. He returned the roughly $1 million he personally profited from the scheme. He was sentenced to just over 3 years in federal prison, a surprisingly short sentence given the scale of what he'd orchestrated. More than 50 other people connected to the scheme were eventually charged, though most received lighter penalties than many expected. Jacobson was released in 2005 and has lived quietly in Georgia ever since, largely out of the public eye. The case might have stayed forgotten entirely until decades later, when a documentary brought Uncle Jerry back into public conversation. What makes this story remarkable isn't just the money. It's how long a single trusted insider could quietly break an entire system. No hacking, no violence, just one person, one loophole, and 12 years of a system that never thought to question itself. Today, most major promotions use independent auditors and randomized digital systems, specifically because of what Jacobson exposed decades ago. Sometimes the biggest frauds aren't complicated at all. They just require one person the system trusted a little too much.